say I'm really excited about tonight's event, and I hope the rest of you are as well. You know, it's a tenor of our times that we're talking about collaborative stories, myths and memes, and while some of these things have been, of course, myths have been with us forever, there seems to be a new furor around these categories and a resurgence of examination into these. And the job that my co-founder and Transmedia SF, Maya Zuckerman, did in putting together this panel is just phenomenal. So I'm really excited. And nobody could have really done this better, because Maya not only is passionate about myths and mythology, she's also passionately engaged in creating some and producing some herself. So in addition to her work for clients like Salesforce.com and Deloitte & Touche, she's also worked on some really very deep mythological campaigns, including campaigns for Deepak Chopra. She's working on a project with The Fifth Sacred Thing, which is really exciting. We're looking forward to that getting out there, and Saltwater. So in addition to everything else that she's done and that you'll hear about tonight, Maya is going to be leading the Q&A, and so feel free to ask her questions. And without further ado, we're going to get the evening started. I'll turn it over to Maya. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, guys. See if I can do this with too much technology. So I started this whole curation of this month with actually a pastiche. This is my idea of stealing somebody else's really great idea. Gary Hayes created a map a few years ago, and I decided to recreate it by myself. And it's the map of the transmedia universe that it is today. From the submarines of context, to the ships of story, to the robots of dawn. And by the way, the creator of that robot is here in the crowd. Where is Justin? And the idea of creating where this map of media is right now, because it's not the media of our grandfathers and grandparents. It's a media that is evolving, but it's also going back to the way things were. So we used to tell stories like this. We used to sit around the campfire, and we used to have an immediacy of reaction from our audience and our co-creators, because you know, as a storyteller, you'd have ideas from the crowd, and you have people shouting out, and that's how we actually had all of our history being told for thousands of years. Now, this is the way we tell stories in one day. This is a map of interactions, 24 hours of interactions around the world. And I think this is phenomenal. I think we're actually really going back to that campfire. The immediacy is here. When something happens, we get an immediate feedback loop. And it's really interesting as creators, as curators, as business owners, as brands, how to actually engage with this immediacy. And I think that's part of what we're going to discuss tonight, and the wonderful esteemed speakers that I have all work with that kind of audience engagement. So let's start with our elders. I think the two elders that I chose for tonight, I think really are the dears of this whole space, and this is of course McLuhan. And I think in Transmedia SF we've been saying that we're the medium and the message, like he is. And it's very interesting how, if he was alive today, he'd be completely a transmedia creator. He'd probably be running big campaigns. You know, one of my favorites, I don't know if you've ever seen the Annie Hall, his appearance in Woody Allen's movie, where Allen actually breaks the fourth wall and brings him out to the front and to say, you know nothing of my work. So yeah, definitely I love him. I think he's amazing. And I actually did a little, this is a part of a blog that I wrote for the Transmedia Coalition, and it's bringing the McLuhan tetrad that one of my wonderful speakers, Mitch, actually reminded me about his tetrad, and I actually created a transmedia one. And the interesting thing about the tetrad and why it's so now, it's so, like, was written